if we took a second and we said, okay, let's like dive into this inner train. This comes from a book, Vex King. Has anybody ever read any of Vex King's stuff? Super awesome author. Dee turned me on to him a while ago, but yeah, she's awesome. So here, we're gonna do the self thing. So I want us to take a second and understand the concept of self, because self, when we understand self at a higher level and that inner voice of like how we're communicating, it's much easier for us to then be received, communicate a message, understand what I really wanted to communicate. Because how often do we say something and it comes off a different way because of our tone, our body language, etc., right? And you're like, I didn't mean that, but it's like all of your energy, your shoulders, your voice said something else because of the unconscious mind taking over and your emotions taking over. And it's like, did you really mean to say that? Has anybody ever said anything that they're like, I never said all that? It's like, you sure did if I were to record you, but you were just so in your emotion that it's like, you didn't actually say that. Or you didn't mean that, but you said it. Does that make sense? Or the person heard it because all they heard was the emotion that you were saying the thing with, that all they heard was the emotion, not the words that you actually said. Does that make sense? So it's like, let's find super awareness around this, because if we move into like building relationships and trying to have a better connection with other people around us, if we can't connect with ourselves, like we're this loose cannon that's always attaching and always chasing, always moving into this emotional like mess, but it's because we're internally emotionally a mess. And so self communicate with self. And the question it would say is, am I responding or am I reacting, right? So like when I communicate with self, and I have to ask myself, like, am I responding in this moment or am I reacting to any event or circumstance, right? Like we have our eyes like they're a window to the soul, right? You guys are watching something, you see this logo, you see this water bottle, you see this thing, right? And you're just consuming at all times. And so then yourself is processing, how do I want to consume this? So it's gonna consume it from a perspective or a lens. Hence why we call this the train of self. So the train of self is, imagine you have a bunch of cars that are through events that have built up over your life. So you've got this car, like as a kid, you were like told you were never enough. Or as a kid, or your parents were always telling you you have to do things perfect. And so now you're this perfectionist. Or as a young adult, maybe you were told you're not lovable or something like that. And so now this lens that you kind of build this relationship, or the employee that steps forward all the time is this I'm not lovable employee. And what are they trying to protect? You getting hurt like the last relationship that hurt you, right? So it's sitting here saying it's an employee of the protector, and it's saying you're not lovable. And you're like, hold on, why is this person so loud in every conversation? So a new relationship comes into this and you're like, well, I'm not lovable. And that person's so loud because they're just trying to protect you. And you're now trying to have a relationship and this person's trying to love on you. And you're like, but I'm not lovable. Does that make sense? So I remember as a kid, I'm in middle school, and my relationship to friends was always, I was the kid that wasn't invited a lot of times. So I remember I had this neighborhood crew that were all my homies. So I thought, and I just I remembered many times I'd go to I'd hear that they're having some party and I never got the invite. So then it was always this like, well, nobody ever calls me and asks me to go to do something fun. And, I've seen it later on in my life, and unpacking that, it's like, oh, I just go create my own parties because I never get invited to the party. And I'm like, where does that happen? And so it's like that version of me that just is a car that I built since like middle school, I just carry in my little train of self. Does that make sense? So then all of a sudden I get invited the other day from a friend to his birthday party. I was like, he invited me, and I swear 90% of the time it's probably just because they're like, you're too busy, Sam, or something. I don't know. But like my perception is nobody wants to invite me to their thing. Does that make sense? So I noticed that if we communicate with self from this car, and all of a sudden, every time somebody's doing something, I'm like, oh, that's just a reiteration of my own little car that I carry on all the time. Instead of like, no, they really would have invited you if they wouldn't have thought you were busy. Does that make sense? Like, it's not that they don't like you. It's not that, like, they didn't even think about it. Does that make sense? Like I get to see it from whatever car I'm carrying. And what we want to do today is say, how do we find openness or awareness around these cars that we take? So I'm going to give you guys a couple examples of cars, and then let's list them out. Like what are some cars that we would carry? Like let's list out some cars that you guys might carry throughout your life. It's like a perspective that maybe you is dragging this train down. Let's list out a couple.
I'm not good enough.
Not good enough is a big one. What else?
Lack of confidence.
Lack of confidence, not successful. What else? What's a car that you maybe carry with self that's a perspective that you kind of just, it's like a natural default a lot of times.
I should be doing better.
I should be doing better. I have to be perfect all the time.
Not strong enough.
Not strong enough.
Letting people down.
Letting people down. What about emotional avoidance? I wrote down unresolved grief. You know, who's had somebody pass away and then they just carry this car that's like, I'm going to just drag them with me forever. It's like, they didn't want that, but for some reason you just don't move on. What about the needing to be right? Past relationship wounds is a big one. Who struggles in their current relationship because they're holding on to the past relationship? Does that make sense? So if we think about these cars, it's like, Zach and I were joking last night, and it made me think of this. When we went to Puerto Vallarta, we did a service project, and we cleared out this lady's house because she was a hoarder. Has anybody dealt with a hoarder? And door-to-door sales is my favorite thing because you actually get to be like in the movie hoarders. And every once in a while you go into that house and you're like, oh my gosh, I found one. Anybody been there? You're like, yes! And then you're just like, how do you have 4 dead cats on your living room still? You know what I mean? They like hoard the thing, like everything. You know what I mean? Yes, that is a real story that we could go down. Anyway, there's this one lady, you know, you're just like, she had like hallways of bookshelves of like boxes, and it's like 6-inch little hallway to the kitchen, 6-inch little hallway to the room, you know what I mean? And
Carpet's worn out in that hallway.
yeah, it's just like one little trail. Everything else is just to the ceiling.
Credit.
They have credit. I know. I'm like, hey man, what if all this burns down? We need to get you set up. Just didn't think about that. So long story short, we go to this lady in Puerto Vallarta, and we did a service project on one of these circle trips, and she had all this stuff just piled and piled and piled. And it was such an interesting service project because we cleared out her home, and it was like she was crying for joy because she's like, these awesome strapling American men coming in and like helping me. But she was also crying because she's like, where's all my stuff? She was like freaking out. And I'm like telling Zach and all the guys, I'm like, hey, just like, don't say anything, huck it all. Like she had like homework assignments from her kids from like 20 years ago. You know what I mean? And it's like magazines from 40 years ago, you know, she never opened, and she's blind. So like, and it's just like, what are you gonna read? You're blind. So I'm like, we're just bags and bags of just garbage bags and garbage bags. We're laying it all. And then she's like going to the front yard where all the garbage bags are like, no, I still need this. We're like, ma'am. And we were like, just hide her. And like, we're just get rid of it. You know what I mean? Like, it was just like a whole emotional, like imagine that. You're just like clearing out this hoarder's house as she's unpacking as you're packing. You know what I mean? Like, it was just this game. Like, we just put that away. No, we didn't. Like, and anyway, it just made me think of like, are we emotional hoarders? So think about this concept of we are emotionally hoarding this train, and it's a sickness, it's a disease. And so you go and say research shows that people like this lady is a hoarder, but we are emotional hoarders more often than we are maybe a hoarder of things. Now, some of you guys maybe are a little bit much, if I go to your closets. Hoarding, it's the way we interact with the conversation or have an argument and release a lot about our emotional hoarding habits, and understanding new ways to communicate is going to help. Because if we have this like constant way of creating a habit of how we emotionally respond to certain events or people, then all of a sudden we can't break ourselves free and play in the highest self. Does that make sense? And so all of our communication habit or all of our natural default is going to come from this emotional hoarding, or this train that we have these little cars that are just getting carried along. So what I want to do now is I want you guys to pick a partner, so somebody you didn't come with, and we're going to unpack a car. So not all of the cars, but we're going to do an exercise where we get to really dive into kind of what is this car. And so here, maybe write these 3 questions down so people understand what they are. So what you're going to do is you're going to ask these questions to essentially your person. You're going to say, what is the car about? Well, put it on a new page. Just go new page. And so as you as I'm sharing these 3 questions, just so you understand the exercise, because we're going to take about 30 minutes. You're going to be with this person for a minute. And what you're going to do is you're going to pick a car that you are a little conscious, maybe really conscious, or you should start to be conscious about. Does that make sense? And we're going to do a little exercise with a partner where you're going to unpack this and let it go. And then D is going to do an exercise where we're going to practice really releasing or uncoupling these cars. We cool with that? Is everybody okay, like releasing some cars here this week? Down to like let go of leave some stuff in the Iceland and with the icebergs and the polar bears? Okay. So the first one is, what is this car about? How has it affected your ability to connect with your spouse, your team, your kids, yourself? And what might it feel like to begin uncoupling it here and now? So what you're going to do is take these 3 questions as a framework. Each person is going to have 10 to 15 minutes. And then when I ring the bell or just go ding or just whatever I say, I want you to then switch partners, okay? So you're gonna have some meaningful time to really go deep with this. And so what I want you guys to do is find a space. It's a little awkward with like a circle table. So what you'll do is either find a space out there, in here, but move the chairs to where it's just you and them. Does that make sense? It's not like a circle up. It's more of like a you and them.